So, driving home from MGM, heading back up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, in case you guys don't know. And don't worry, I got my eyes on the road. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Not necessarily like colluding, but if you ever run into a unique situation where people are like, let's just say friends, are good friends at the table, and they end up checking it down a lot to each other. It's really not how the game is supposed to be played, whether it's Pot Limit Omaha or No Limit Hold'em. And one of the things that anybody who's played poker with me will tell you is it doesn't matter if they're my best friend, if they're my mom, if they're my brother. My job is to take all your chips. And, when you travel with a bunch of poker players, you shouldn't get upset over your friends that you go out to dinner with, that you go out to the club with, that you go out to the strip club with, that you share a hotel room with, about winning a $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 pot off of them. The game, if you're a professional and you're maintaining the highest level of ethics, good karma will come to you. And I've got, two examples of this. So the first example, playing at MGM Detroit, 1-3-10 PLO, we're essentially $4,000 effective or $4,000 deep. And I have a good hand, or not really a good hand, but I have a playable hand, let's call it that. I have 5-9, 10-3. I know what you're thinking, like, what, that's playable? In any case, the way the game was playing, when you're $4,000 deep, you can pretty much open up your range, and that's not a hand that I would encourage anybody to play. It was double suited. I was early in the position. It was only a standard $30, $40 raise pre-flop that I ended up calling. And the board comes out 9-5-6 with 2 clubs, and I don't have any clubs, but I am deep, and there's $200 in the pot. The gentleman to my left is very inebriated. I've told him once or twice that I can see his hand from time to time. I go ahead and check just for pot control. The guy grabs out $200 in chips and decides to bet it, because we're 5 ways to a flop for a $40 raise. So he does a pot size bet. But when he does it, he accidentally shows me his hand. Now on an 8-9-6 board, 8-9-5 board, because I had 9s and 5s. 6-7 is obviously the nuts. There's 2 clubs out there, but I see that he's got 7-10-10 jack with clubs. And one player calls, and it gets to me, and I hesitate, and I look at the guy, and I say, I can see your hand, and I just decide to fold, which you don't necessarily have to do, but the guy was so drunk, I know that if I call and I catch my full house, he's just going to blast off. And I know some of you might be like, well, you're a poker player, it's his job to protect his cards. I completely agree with that statement. But I also felt like I have seen his entire hand, all 4 of his cards, and he is super drunk, and I can totally check raise him and let him blast off. But I just felt like in the moment, I know exactly what he's got. I know I've got him beat, but I'm just going to muck it just because I don't want to be into that guy or that situation. And this was, I think, the second time I told him I could see his hand. Well, in any case, the turn comes a 9. He continues and does a $400 bet on the turn. One person calls, and then the river is a 6, so it does give him the nuts straight. And then he fires off and bets like $800 and puts the guy all in, and the guy calls. And, of course, he wins the hand, and I'm like, dude, I see your hand, I see your hand. So there's a couple times where I keep telling him it. Eventually, I probably told him I saw his hand like 8-9 times. And eventually I just told him, I'm like, dude, I've warned you plenty of times. And other people at the table at this point are like, just take all of his money, man. Like, he's super drunk. If you don't do it, we're going to do it. But, if you see his hand, just take it. And I didn't by the end of the night. But in any case, I wanted to talk a little bit about ethics, because This morning, I was playing four-handed. I was stuck for $4,000, and there wasn't like any huge pots that I lost, but it was an absolute grind that was brutal in Pot Limit Omaha. When you start playing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you're still there at 5 in the morning, generally you're stuck. And I was in for $4,000, and we were four-handed, and there was three people that every time they were involved in a pot with each other, they played really soft at each other. They would check, and they were acquaintances. When they were in a pot with me, they would get aggressive and bet pot. A couple of them were check potting, stuff like that. So it dawned on me that these guys, they weren't colluding, they weren't cheating, they weren't signaling. I was watching for that. And everybody I've played with in Detroit has been absolutely honest and amazing. It's absolutely one of the best PLO places to play in the United States right now, Detroit, Jacksonville, and Texas. But it was pretty obvious at 5 in the morning that they were playing soft towards each other. So in any case, I get involved in a hand, and when you have something like that where people are playing soft against each other but hard on you, one of the worst things you can do is start 3-betting or 4-betting pre-flop, because if you get it all in against two random hands, your chances, you can win, but I would take the combined equity of the two random hands over whatever your strong equity is, even if it's ace, ace, 10, jack double suited, or ace, ace, king, king double suited. So in any case, keep in mind, we're four-handed at 5 in the morning. I'm like 305 effective. I'm in for $4,000. So at this point, I'm down $3,700. And I get 4, 10, 10, jack double suited. I'm in the small blind. There's a button straddle. I call. Another player calls. Guy makes it 40. Next guy calls, I call. We go 4 ways to the flop for 40. There's $160 in the pot. Flop comes ace, 10, 3, complete rainbow. At this point, I've got 270 in front of me. I am short stacked. I go ahead and check. First gentleman checks. Second gentleman, who's the original raiser, decides to make it 150. It's a pretty reasonable bet. Next gentleman decides to call. I check jam for 270. The guy who checked initially flats 270. That seems a little odd in Pot Limit Omaha that you're going to check flat 270 in a multi-way pot. And it's also a very dry pot. Dry pot meaning there's not a straight draw out there, there's not a flush draw out there, like pretty much a set of tens is the nuts. Now, you could say, Josh, there's inside wraps. Yeah, you could have jack, queen, king. I can see that. You could have 2, 4, 5. I can see that. It's kind of hard to see 2, 4, 5 on a $40 raise pre-flop, but then again, we're four-handed, so I could see that. So in any case, everybody calls. So we go 4 ways to the turn for 270, and daddy's all in. Turn comes a king. It does put backdoor spades out there, so there's 2 spades out there. But then it goes check, check, check. Okay, maybe no one had anything on the flop. River comes, the 6 of clubs, so essentially I still have the stone cold nuts unless somebody's got jack queen, but if they did, why would they check the turn? And it goes check, check, check. Now the floor guy is standing right next to the table. I announce what I have, I turn my hand over, but before I do, I say I would like to see all of your hands. I want to see everybody's hands. And the reason why is because I know they're playing soft on each other, and I wasn't accusing them of colluding, and nor am I doing that right now by any stretch of the imagination. But I really wanted to see what the guy who checked and then flatted for 270 called. Because if he turns over some bullshit hand like 7, 7, 8, 8, or 7, 8, 9, like 7, 8, 8, 9, that looks really suspicious. Like, you turn over that hand, yeah, I'm probably gonna say, hey, you're colluding. Like, where do you get off calling $250 with an under pair? Immediately when I say that, the floor says, oh, you can only do that in heads up play. I said, look, there is no action after my action. I have a right to see all the hands. 2 of the players mucked their hands super fast, faster than a Tesla goes from 0 to 60. So 2 players instantly mucked their hands, and I was like, I'm like, well, I just got a set of 10s. One gentleman shows ace, queen, 4, 5, so he flopped the gutter ball. I could see a call there. He's already got 150 in the pot. And then there's a little discussion about it. And I said, I'm just really curious, sir, what you check flat at 270 with. And he said he had an ace. And then I asked the other guy, I'm like, well, what did you have? And the other guy says, oh, I had ace 4-5. And I'm like, huh. So 2 people basically had ace 4-5 and another guy had an ace. So all 4 aces were out in the deck. Now it is possible, it's Omaha, but it was just very hard for me to believe that out of 17 cards, 4 aces came out. And obviously when I mentioned this, one of the players who showed his hand either took offense to it or it was 5 in the morning, and again, I wasn't accusing anybody of cheating, nor am I doing that right now, but it was obvious to me that they were playing soft towards each other and that they knew each other. So the one gentleman who was up, gets up, racks up his chips, cashes out immediately. And so now we're 3-handed. Now that I've recognized that these guys are playing soft against each other, so they'll pot it against me, but when they're playing against each other, they go check, 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 check. Maybe they're friends, maybe they have that agreement. If they do, good, because they got exactly what they deserved. I ran that $300 up to $3,700 3-handed and promptly cashed out. And so one of the things I want to tell you guys as you're playing poker and you see that people are acquaintances or friends, and I've played poker all over the place, and I've had people say, oh, this guy's my friend over here, I don't like to get involved in pots with him. And every time somebody tells me that, I always say to them, that's the wrong way to play poker, sir. You shouldn't see that person as your friend. You should see that person as a chip stack, and your job as a poker player is to take all the chips on the table. That is your job. That is your job. Quite frankly, playing soft is unethical, even if it's against your best friend. Playing soft is unethical if it's against your dad. Now, if you're teaching somebody how to play poker and they just started playing poker, I could see possibly playing soft at them, but I still wouldn't, because if you play soft on them, they're never going to become a better poker player. I would still rather you play hard against that person, teach them a lesson, felt them as many times as you can, because that is your job as a poker player. So, I've said my piece. In any case, I was in for $4,000 from 1 in the afternoon till 5 in the morning. I was stuck a total of $3,700, and from 5 in the morning until 7:30 in the morning, I absolutely barbecued the gentlemen who were playing soft against each other. And, they were good guys. Again, I don't think that they were colluding, but they were playing soft on each other. And I'm not going to call somebody out on that because, who am I? I'm just some asshole playing cards at 5 in the morning, and the last thing I want to do is break up a game. But what I will do is I will recognize that, and I will barbecue you every time you do it against me. So, everybody, when you're out there, keep an open eye, try being ethical, play smart, as always, and run like a god.